I bless you all. Let you all open all your three eyes and manifest the powers of Mahasadashiva. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Bhastrika is part of asanas 103 to 106. And although you're not sitting in Padmasana or seated down in a posture, which it does describe that you can be doing and could be doing this in Padmasana, etc. You can do this in other postures. And the ones that you're doing Bhastrika in, they're intense, especially for the core. If you've practiced the Pratama Vinyasa Krama, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a very intense part of the sequence. Bhastrika comes from, there's a few different pramanas, a few different source references for this. The one that I'm going to read off now is from the Yoga Sikopanishad, verses 96 to 100. And it says that the practitioner should intelligently expel with speed the air in the body. Okay, so you're intelligently expelling the air with speed out of the body or in the body. And it says out of the two breaths. So you're expelling it out of the two breaths, meaning the lungs, the nostrils. And then likewise, you should inhale. So you're expelling and then inhaling through the same nostrils, through the same breaths, till you're overcome with fatigue. Okay? The pramana does continue on and gives a description of what you should do after you become fatigued. However, specifically focusing on the Pratama Vinyasa Krama, we don't perform that aspect, the second half of this pranayama. We focus on just this first component, which is the inhalation, exhalation. Okay, which is you're focusing on inhaling, exhaling through the nose, and what you're doing is it's like this quick stomach-like movement. I know you're not able to see my stomach, but as you're doing that, this ignites the Kundalini like you would not believe. If you've never done this, you will sweat just from practicing Bhastrika for, even if you did it for 1 minute, you might start to perspirate. It's in a very intense pranayama. Now, just to give context on the second half of this pranayama, the reference says that when fatigue comes on the body, you should then fill the air in through the solar nadi. And then after constricting the throat, you should expel it through the lunar nadi. So you're doing a different pranayama afterwards. However, in the asana sequence that we are performing, we don't take a pause to do this, which is why I'm not going to break that part down. Okay? In another pramana, this is from Hatha Pradipika Svatmarama in chapter 5, verse 173. It goes on to say that a yogi sitting in Vajrasana should activate Kundalini and thereafter should practice Bhastrika. Thus, Kundalini is easily awakened. So it doesn't necessarily, it activates Kundalini, but and it doesn't necessarily need to be in Vajrasana, but you should activate. So you should focus on the Kundalini. You should focus on your Kundalini. And that is at the base of the spine. So you can, in a sense, you can focus on Muladhara Chakra, this bright white ball of energy, like a sun sitting in the base of your spine. And you can just imagine like this snake coiling up and twirling around the spine. This is just focusing on Kundalini and performing Bhastrika in this way. Okay? The more that you do this, the easier it comes. It is something that like normally people can only do for a few seconds, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just practice. You just need to continuously work at it. And I would highly recommend practicing this on the side. So in the Pratama Vinyasa Krama, we do it and we're doing different asanas, and they're not necessarily where you're simply sitting in Vajrasana or Padmasana or just in a comfortable seated position. You're in positions where you're intensely engaging the core itself already. So it even just adds even so much more intensity to it. But with that, we'll practice this. And this is our most intense pranayama. So all you're going to do is focus on short bursts, inhaling and exhaling, coming out of the nose. But don't just do it through the nose. Notice how your stomach starts to move a bit, right? This is the diaphragm pushing up against the lungs. So rather than focusing on here, I want you to focus on the movement happening in the stomach, at the diaphragm. And as you do this, focus on Kundalini. So if your Kundalini is already awakened, if your Kundalini was awakened by Bhagavan Nithyananda, definitely 100% visualize the Kundalini here. It intensifies even more. Like there's a huge difference between not visualizing the Kundalini, not engaging the Kundalini, and actually engaging it and visualizing it. Without a doubt, like it's way more powerful. You will experience the energy flowing up even more so. So if your Kundalini is awakened, and even if it's not, make sure, I would say the most important part of Bhastrika, in my opinion, is if you have not yet mastered the breathing technique, if you just understand to visualize Kundalini, that's your intention. It's like you're setting a mini intention for this pranayama, for this kumbhaka. And when you do that, it is so intense, okay? So take a moment, visualize your Kundalini right now, curling, starting from the base of the spine, curling up through the body. From that space, now short, quick bursts, inhalation, exhalation through the nose, coming and pushing up through the stomach from the diaphragm, okay? Okay, so just a few seconds of that, like I can normally just play with my Kundalini quite easily, but after doing Bhastrika, I can shoot it up and even get it a little bit higher, because it's always really intense for me between Muladhara and, I would say, it almost gets to Anahata chakra for me, but it doesn't quite, just on a daily basis. But after Bhastrika, I noticed that it right away, just those few seconds, I can shoot it up a tiny bit higher. Yeah, it comes up closer to Anahata chakra for me. So this is a visualization as much as it is a physical pranayama. The visualization is really important with it.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Nithyananda Paramashivoham.